British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's fortunes couldn't have turned worse faster. Just over a month after taking charge, he is in the line to get fired. A double defeat in the Parliament, and then his brother, an MP, quit in a huff. It was a day of setbacks for Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Joe Johnson, his younger brother, announced that he was quitting as an MP. The business minister tweeted that this was an unresolvable tension in his role. He said that he is torn between family loyalty and national interest, adding that it had been an honour to serve his constituents since 2009. The younger Johnson had voted Remain in the Brexit referendum in 2016, while his elder brother led the Leave campaign.
Tell us when you're planning to resign.
I haven't got any further comments to say, other than it's been an honour to be MP for Orpington and a minister under 3 governments. But it's time to move on, and I've got to get to work.
The party?
Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Are you completely at odds with your brother, Mr. Johnson?
Right. See you, folks.
He leaves on a bike, don't miss that. It's not the first time that Joe Johnson has resigned from a cabinet. He previously resigned under the former Prime Minister Theresa May, and that too was over her handling of Brexit. Joe Johnson's exit was the 3rd consecutive debacle for the Prime Minister. It came after the twin defeats in the Parliament, which rejected Boris Johnson's first bid to call for a snap election 2 weeks before the Brexit deadline. Johnson needed at least 2/3 of the MPs to back him. But out of the 650 members of Parliament, less than 300 voted in favour of an election. 56 voted against it. The Labour Party abstained. The British Prime Minister slammed opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn after he failed to vote for a national election.
48 hours ago, he was leading the chants of stop the coup, let the people vote. Now he's saying stop the election and stop the people from voting. I think there's only one solution. I think he has become the first, to my knowledge, the first leader of the opposition in the democratic history of our country to refuse the invitation to an election, Mr. Speaker. I can only speculate. I can only speculate as to the reasons behind his hesitation, Mr. Speaker. The obvious conclusion is, I'm afraid, that he does not think he will win.
The Parliament also voted in favour of a bill aimed at blocking a no-deal Brexit on the 31st of October. The bill was passed by 327 votes. 299 MPs were against it. It now awaits an approval from the House of Lords. Opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn has said that once this bill passes all the stages and becomes a law, he will back a general election. He called no-deal Brexit a poison.
Obviously didn't hear what I just said. I was about to point out, before I was gently interrupted by the honourable member, that the offer of the election today is a bit like the offer of an apple to Snow White and the Wicked Queen, because what he's offering is not an apple or even an election, but the poison of a no deal. So, Mr. Speaker, I repeat what I said last night. Let this bill pass and gain royal assent, then we will back an election so we do not crash out with a no-deal exit from the European Union.
So what does the bill say? It says the Prime Minister has time till the 19th of October to pass a deal in Parliament or get the MPs to back a no-deal Brexit. If he fails to do so, he will be forced to ask for an extension of the Brexit deadline. The new deadline will then be the 31st of January 2020. If the EU proposes a different date, Boris Johnson will have 2 days to accept it and the MPs will be voting on that again. This, however, is not the final bill. It's extremely confusing. The House of Lords could pass amendments in the next few days, and if it does so, the amended bill could come back to the House of Commons for approval. Once that bill passes all the stages, it will be sent for the royal assent from the Queen and then become a law. Well, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is in a soup and a half. All eyes, you would assume, are on him and opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn. But that's not the case, especially on social media. They are obsessed with somebody else. Johnson's own party man, Jacob Rees-Mogg, is the butt of some of the most hilarious memes. More in this report.
With the Parliament in Britain becoming a pantomime, social media users are having a ball. Especially with the leader of the House of Commons. Jacob Rees-Mogg. During a 3-hour late-night debate on Brexit, the Conservative Party MP was seen, well, for the lack of a better word, slouching. Now this was a rather reclined pose that was just a tad short of him having both the feet up completely. "Sit up, man," came the cries from the opposition benches.
And for the benefit of Hansard, the leader of the House has been spread across around.
While Mr. Rees-Mogg's daintiful pose smack in the middle of the House enraged many, it did inspire some hilariously killer memes, which in turn were inspired by everything, beginning with art and paintings, classic, impressionist, and even in the sketching scene from Titanic. You name it and Mr. Rees-Mogg fit right inside it. At this stage, there's no need to remind people that that name itself is funny. Now, apart from art, there was also mathematics and line graphs, where his body position reflected the crashing fortunes of his own party, and also the fall in the value of the British pound sterling in the recent days. Even the Simpsons came in handy. They lost their couch to Rees-Mogg's dowdy act. The memes galore explored all facets and angles possible, and in one of those angles, Rees-Mogg's pose vertically was the mirror image of Michael Jackson. As you can see, if slouching were an Olympic event, Jacob Rees-Mogg would have won the gold. In fact, one of the memes pointed out how his pose could be very useful in the high jump. Well, we're not sure about that high jump, but it is an extremely low point in British politics, and these hilarious memes are making the most out of it. Bureau Report, Wion, World is One.